Hi, hello everyone who is joining me live in this mindset session where we are going to speak about mindset steps and especially three mindset steps I want to mention today to handle challenges in the classroom. So, if you can just say hi to me and just mention where you are joining me from and what was the motivation for you to join this session? What is your current challenge that you're experiencing as a teacher, either in the classroom or even beyond classroom in your private life? What is number one challenge that you are experiencing? Nice to have you here, Dale. Thank you so much for saying hi. I always love having you in any sessions that I am in. So, what is the current challenge that you're experiencing as a teacher in the classroom, in the sessions, as a teacher entrepreneur, promoting your business, selling to your potential clients, students? What is the biggest challenge, really? What is something that makes you feel upset or frustrated or doubting yourself? Christine is saying hi as well. Christine, nice to have you here. Um, and yes, Dale is joining from Colorado. So if you can just share with me what the biggest challenge is that you experience these days, because we are going to use these specific challenges and look at them from the perspective of three steps you can follow. And I'm going to even share my screen with you so that you can really follow what I'm saying. If you are visual, it's going to be very helpful for you. So if you can just confirm that you can see my screen. Yeah, you should be able to see my screen now. And I'm going to share with you again a few steps, three steps that you can use and they can be part of your teacher mental first aid kit. So imagine you have with you a teacher mental first aid kit that you can always reach out to, open it up, and see all the tools you have there that you can use when there are any challenges challenging you. How does it sound to you? Does it sound like, yes, I would love to have this teacher mental first aid kit? Maybe you can just say yes or yes, please. And I'm going to share it with you. And even to start with, maybe to ask you, what do you already have in your teacher mental first aid kit? So, this is the kit where you already have some tools that you use when you don't feel your best, when you feel negative about something. So, what are those tools? What are those maybe techniques or actions that you take? If you can just share that with me. Before I share anything else, I want to share with you what are your current strategies that you use as a teacher in your classroom, in your sessions, when you market yourself, when you sell, or beyond classroom when things get tough? What is it? Eve is joining from Utah. So nice to have you here, Eve. Beautiful. So, what are the things you have in your mental first aid kit? When I say things, I mean strategies, techniques, any tips, best practices for other teachers that you can share with others. When I spoke to some other teachers before and I asked this question, they mentioned, I call my best friend. Or they even said, I go on a walk, or I meditate, or I do yoga, or I do dancing, or I just breathe. So, what is it that you do? What is in your mental first aid kit on those days when you don't feel your best? I'm going to share with you what you can use and have them in that first aid kit, but first I would like to hear from you. So, Dale is sharing, I enjoy my walks. I know how much you enjoy your walks, Dale, and they bring you into this stage or state of sage and of being grounded and present and radiant. So, for those of you who don't know Dale, I meet Dale on a weekly basis. It's virtual meeting, it's not physical, but Dale is always full of energy and he's just beaming with joy, and he's got so many ideas how to make impact in this world. So that is something that Dale takes from his walks. Okay, so it's very important. Christine is saying as well, definitely go for a walk. Yes, I do the same, by the way. And some of my friends as well, they say they go for a walk. Okay, good. So this is what you have already in your first aid kit. Let me just share with you, for those of you, because I cannot see everyone who is here. But for those of you who don't know me, just to introduce myself very quickly, I'm a former um, EFL teacher. So I taught English to different students in 3 different countries. And now I work as a mental fitness coach for teachers. And the reason why I shifted or transitioned is because as a teacher, there were a lot of things I didn't know how to do. Like, for example, when I was really emotionally challenged in the classroom with 30 other students, and I literally burst into tears in that classroom. I didn't know what to do with those emotions. And it was very challenging for me. And there were many situations like this. And because of that, I developed different methods and I learned some best practices that I use for myself and I would love to share with everyone. And that's why I call myself as a mental fitness coach, which is very similar to physical fitness coach. The only difference is we focus on the health and fitness of your mind, not your body. Although they are connected, but that's what I do. And just a disclaimer that all the tools I'm going to share with you today, I used diligently myself every single day. Even now, before this session, I used a few of them. And I would love to share these tools with you so that you can feel more focused, confident, and calm in your life challenges. Um, and nice to meet you, all of you who are here for the first time, but at the same time, the regular teachers as well. Um, Good. So the question is, what really stresses you out these days? I would like to take that example and then follow the steps I wanted to share with you on that example, because this way you can live away with something that you can already use in your life. So it's not just some kind of theory, but you will use something very practical on your specific example. If you can just share that with me, what really stresses you out these days? And you would love to focus on this. Um, if you are brave enough, just write it down so that I can read it and maybe I can use this as an example. If you feel like you prefer to just keep it to yourself, just say it out loud or maybe even write it down if you have a pen and paper. What really stresses you out? Even if you just use a few words, what is really that stresses you out? Do you have that example ready for you? If you can just say yes. If you don't want to share, just say yes, that I've got that example ready, something that stresses me out, so that you can follow those steps for this example. Christina, nice to have you here, Christina. Financial instability, clients leaving whenever they want. That's a very good example. And thank you so much for being so brave and share this with me and with all of us. Um, so, just taking Christina's example, financial instability, clients leaving whenever they want. Yes, that's a very good example. If you could just mention, Christina, maybe in 1 or 2 words, how does it make you feel? Yes. How does it make you feel when you experience financial instability and clients are leaving whenever they want? In 1 or 2 words, how does it make you feel? Maybe all of you who have these examples, like for example, Dale mentioned he's got an example, but it's private, which which I respect. Maybe you just can ask yourself, how does it make you feel? Whatever challenge you're experiencing right now, whatever stresses you out right now. And it's very important to ask this question. Christina is saying vulnerable. Yeah, that's a very good explanation of how one may feel when there is financial instability and just clients feel like they can leave whenever they want. Now, my next question would be not just to Christina, but to everyone here who gave an example. So the question would be, are negative emotions good for you? So is it good for you to feel vulnerable? Maybe some of you have other examples of the emotions, maybe anger, frustration, guilt, doubt. So is it good for you to feel negative emotions? Is it good to feel vulnerable, to feel angry? Just say yes or no. What do you think? Or maybe if there is something in between, you can mention that. But are negative emotions good for you? So when you're experiencing financial instability, clients leave whenever they want, and this makes you feel vulnerable, is it good to feel these negative emotions? And if some of you want to even comment, yes, it's good, but why is it good? Or if it's not good, why isn't it good to feel it? So Christina is saying, I think it's okay to feel negative emotions. For how long, Christine? For how long is it good to feel these negative emotions? Somebody else is sharing, I cannot see your name, but negative emotions are very bad. So that's okay. To say it this way, I'm going to explain to you how I see it. But I love when you just express how you feel about it. So I hear from some of you saying, yes, it's great to feel negative emotions, it's okay. Or some of you are saying, it's actually very bad to have negative emotions. Christine is saying, I think it's good to feel our emotions and recognize them. Mhm. And another person is saying, positive is better. I like that shift. Okay, so I have another question before I tell you what my opinion is about is pain good for you? Is pain good for you? Christina is saying we can learn from them a lot about ourselves. So basically, negative emotions are good because we can learn a lot about ourselves from them. Okay. So is pain good for you? Just say yes or no. Is it good to feel pain? Because very often when we feel negative emotions, we feel pain. That pain transforms into physical sensation in our body, and it's some kind of tension um, or any other physical sensation in our body. Kristen is saying, yes, it's part of life. Pain can be motivating, it can help us make changes. Okay, I'm happy where we are going with all of this. So I would like to use this example. As you can see in this picture, there is a person putting their hand on the hot stove. So, what is the first thing that person does who puts the hand on the hot stove? Naturally, what do we do? What do we do naturally? Because of the pain we are experiencing. We take it off, right? We take off our hands so we don't hold it there for too long. But is the pain helpful when we feel the pain when we put the hand on the hot stove? Yes, it's helpful because otherwise we wouldn't know that something is going wrong there. We would just keep our hand on the hot stove until we actually lose our hand because it would just burn to ashes. So Yes, Dale says take it off immediately, but then Darshana is mentioning pain is good. It indicates that something is wrong. So it's wrong to hold your hand on the hot stove. So, yes, pain is actually good. But now the question is, and I ask this question, for how long is the pain good to feel? And Dale commented, you can feel them, so negative emotions, and release them in a channeled way so they don't build up inside of you if the pain prevents you from making bad decisions. Okay? Now, the question I guess I ask, like, for how long it's good to feel these negative emotions, it's very subjective. It depends what happens to us. If it's something like a very big challenge, maybe you're upset for a few more minutes or hours. If it's something maybe smaller, it's a few seconds. But basically, what I want to share with you, negative emotions are helpful and feeling the pain is helpful, but only helpful for 1 second as alert signal. Now, I use this 1 second as kind of like analogy or as an example, but again, this 1 second can be sometimes 1 minute. But what does it mean then? So if you feel negative about something that happened for longer than 1 second or for longer than it's necessary to understand the message from what happened, then that's called sabotage. So staying in negative emotion hurts ability to see clearly and respond with empathy, curiosity, creativity, or laser focused action. So if you are in a negative mode, if you are feeling negative and keep staying feeling negative, you cannot clearly see good solutions or solutions coming from your calm and focused state of mind. And we call these negative emotions saboteurs. Some of you may have heard me speaking about saboteurs for some time now, but these are the negative emotions that are persistent for a prolonged state. So, again, feeling negative emotion is important and it's actually very good because we know something needs to be changed. It's an alert signal for us to pay attention to something. But if we keep feeling this negative emotion for longer, that's a form of sabotage. So, what forms of sabotage do you know? Maybe share it with me in this chat. How can teachers sabotage themselves in daily life, in the classroom, outside of classroom, on social media, in their relationships? How can people sabotage themselves? Give me any forms of sabotage. How can one sabotage themselves? Or maybe even your examples if you feel brave enough to share them. How can one sabotage themselves? I may help you with one or two examples. There are teachers who don't want to increase their rates, their hourly rate, because they think it's immoral to charge more. They would rather want to be liked by the students and not cause any maybe tension or dispute because of raised prices. So they keep teaching at a rate which doesn't really help them to sustain and survive in wherever they live. So pleasing others in order to be liked and not to form any kind of tension, it's a way of sabotaging ourselves because we don't really please ourselves in a way, we don't really take care of ourselves. Get distracted easily. That's a very good example of self sabotage. Yes. When we get distracted easily, when we have a lot of projects that we want to work on, and we don't really complete any of those projects, or where we jump from one task to another and we think that multitasking is actually amazing, but it's not really. Apparently, the mind of a person that is multitasking is as impaired as the mind of someone who's just drunk glass of wine. So that's how bad multitasking is, and it's a form of sabotage as well. Um, Another example, maybe by losing their self esteem. Yes, that's a very good example. When we feel imposter syndromes, when we feel we are not good enough as teachers to charge more, to maybe achieve more, or even to teach more students at a decent rate. I remember I was struggling with this. I'm a non native English teacher, and for many years, I struggled to teach and feel worthy in the classroom just because of my nationality. But I was a very good teacher. I brought good results to my students, but just the fact that I was not a native English teacher was weakening my self esteem and I didn't feel confident enough. That was a form of sabotage. So, how can someone who sees themselves as unworthy teach somebody else about worthiness or about good enoughness and prepare them for life, let's say, even with their communication skills, as I was an English teacher, helping my students to be more fluent and accurate when they speak? So, that's a form of sabotage. Another one is fear of speaking up and losing focus when stressed. Yes, that's a very good example. Fear of speaking up. Again, it's coming from this judging ourselves. I'm not good enough to speak up. Maybe this person is good enough, but I'm not good enough to charge this and this or to say this and this publicly. Um, yes, these are a good example. Thank you for sharing them with me. So this is how we sabotage ourselves, meaning if we keep feeling negative emotions for longer than necessary. I would say for longer than 1 second, but again, this depends and it's very subjective. So what I want to share with you now, it's something about mental fitness and positive intelligence. So PQ stands for Positive Intelligence Quotient. And this basically means the fitness score for your mind. So imagine you can measure how well your mind serves you on an everyday basis. So it shows how often your thoughts help you versus hurt you, and how this affects your performance as a teacher, your relationships, and your well-being. So this concept was created by Shirzad Shamin, that I work with, who is my coach at the moment. But what I want to share here is that it's really amazing to know that you can measure how well your mind serves you. And when your mind is helping you have a fulfilling, productive, and joyful life, you are in the sage mode. When your mind is hurting you, it means when you keep feeling negative emotions, when it's not really needed anymore, because you already got kind of like the lesson, or you could have got the lesson, but you still want to keep being negative, that's when your mind hurts you. And that's when you are in the saboteur mode. So you can actually measure it. And apparently, there are only 20% of people that have their PQ, which is positive intelligence quotient, about 75%. And this is where we are productive and fulfilled as individuals. Then the majority of people, 75% of people, based on the research that was done, has this PQ score less than 75%, which means their mind serves them only, let's say, 40% or 50%, and the rest is sabotage, a form of sabotage. So, do we have any questions at this point about anything I mentioned, about what it means to be mentally fit, and also why it's so important to be mentally fit? If you have any questions, just let me know. But one very important thing I wanted to mention, because I already said, there is the saboteur mind and there is the sage mind, or sage brain, saboteur brain. The negative part of the brain is the saboteur brain, sage one is the positive one, the creative one, the loving one. There are 10 type of saboteurs and there are 5 sage powers that we can use. The point of this session is not to show them all to you right now, but just to be aware that we have our saboteurs and we have our sage. And it's up to us to choose which one we want to follow. Do we want to follow our saboteurs? Do we want to follow our sage? So, which one would you like to follow? Listening to me and following what I'm saying. Sage or saboteur? Sage or saboteur? Which one would you like to follow? Sage. I can see sage. Great. Good. So, in this example, I want to just continue to say these are the 10 saboteurs. We don't need to go into detail because I shared it in the previous recordings, but you can see them all in one page. We've got the judge, avoider, controller, hypervigilant, pleaser, victim, restless, stickler, hyperrational, and hyperachiever. So all of these saboteurs are responsible for your sabotaging yourself. But then, as I mentioned, we have 5 sage powers. We've got explore when we are curious about what is happening around us, empathy when we just feel love for ourselves or for others, navigate when we really ask, what is the most important thing for me to focus on right now? What really matters? And it's aligned with my purpose. Innovate when we brainstorm and become creative about different solutions for the challenges we go through. And activate is when we actually take the next action on whatever we decide. So we've got all of these sage powers, but we don't always use them. And now I want to share with you that we can actually train our positive intelligence. We can train our PQ, meaning we can train how well we use our mind and how often our mind serve us instead of hurting us. We can call it something like the gym for your mind. And I'm going to share with you 4 steps today how you can actually do it. But before, I would like to share a real life scenario. We can use yours if you want to share yours, but I prepared one for you. So imagine the situation. You planned a speaking activity where students were supposed to practice conversation in pairs. Instead of talking in English, most of them slipped back into their native language. Some students got noisy, others weren't participating at all. And you left the class thinking, that lesson was awful. I should have managed it better. Maybe I'm not a good teacher. So I don't know if this particular situation resonates with you because maybe not all of you are teachers of English language, but maybe a similar situation where you felt like the students were not really following what you said. And then it left you thinking that maybe I'm not a good teacher. Anybody resonates with this? Anybody resonates with this? Or maybe you have your own examples. So when we have this situation that just happened, how helpful it is for a teacher to say, that lesson was awful, I should have managed it better, maybe I'm not a good teacher. What is good about this sentence, or maybe what can be improved about this sentence? What can we do in this kind of situation? What would you do if you ask your students to do certain type of activities and then you find out that they actually don't follow you at all, or they just do whatever they want? And maybe some of them are even yawning and telling like how bored they are in your class. What is the first impression you have? Or even what are the things you follow when this is what happens? Hmm. Darshana is saying, yes, in my early days. Okay. So this is just an example. So maybe use your own examples, a real life scenario, something you're going through right now and you're experiencing and it's challenging you and you feel negative about it. Dell is saying, I quietly end the activity and make a change. Yeah, that's a good example. If something is not going the way you planned it to go, or maybe people are not as engaged, it's a good idea to change to an activity. But I want to guide you through 4 steps you can use at any time from now on, and you can have these 4 steps in your mental first aid kit. And they are really, really powerful. I use them every single day for different type of situations. So we can use this situation, or we can use any other examples that you share with me. But basically, there are 4 steps. So what do you think would be the first step? How you can train your positive intelligence, like how you can respond in an empowering way, and not being swamped by the saboteurs. What would be the first step? If this happens, the lesson doesn't go as you planned, and then you have to end the lesson because it's already the end of 60 minutes, let's say, and you say like, oh, that was an awful session, like, am I a good teacher even? So what could be the first step to resolve the situation? The very first step. What would be the first step? I can imagine there would be a few teachers who would deal with the situation differently. Actually, everybody would deal with the situation differently. Dale is saying, learn from the experience. Mhm. And another person is saying, just to accept the situation. Wow. Okay, just to accept the situation. If is saying, first recognize each time. I love that. So imagine after each session that you finish with your students, after each session that doesn't go well, and you say to yourself, I'm not a good teacher. Again, I'm not a good teacher. Maybe I'm not a good teacher. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought I would be. Maybe I should be better as a teacher. So imagine you have this negative thinking every single time when something doesn't go well. What can happen actually? That's the thinking I had when I was a non-native English teacher. And I kept saying I'm not good enough because I'm not a non-native English teacher. And many students would prefer to work with um, native teachers. And then what happened? I started believing that. I started to act as that person, and I started attracting those situations. And maybe even I made some other students who were not native English speakers feel bad, even without verbally saying anything. But maybe I was in that energy, not feeling good enough. So you can see how this can have like a very bad consequence on your life when you keep repeating the negative emotions from the situation that you feel again and again. Then you can form beliefs that are actually not helpful for you, and they can have really bad consequences in your life, in your career as a teacher, and also in your relationships. Because we don't really want to be with people or around people who don't feel good enough, who don't feel good enough all the time, right? So the first step, and I think some of you already mentioned it, is to catch the saboteur. What does it mean, catch the saboteur? So if you are feeling negative emotions, stop. Just take a break, stop. And just realize you are in saboteur mode, meaning I'm now hijacked by my saboteur, maybe by judging me, or by victim, oh, poor me, I'm a non-native English speaker or teacher. How can somebody want to work with me? Just to catch that negative voice, to name it, to kind of like understand it. What is it doing? And how does it feel? So if you do this, you separate yourself from it by noticing your negative voice. And then it just means that's my saboteur, not really me. Because we are more than our saboteurs. Our saboteurs are just our coping mechanisms that we adopted since we were children. That's how we wanted to have more love and acceptance from other people. And that's why we adopted these saboteur behaviors. But as adults, we forgot we have them and we still keep following them. We all have like top saboteurs, and then uh, we all kind of show up or show different saboteurs, but the two of them, let's say, are top saboteurs. So the very first one is to catch the saboteurs, to catch the negative voice that you are feeling, and to be aware, like, I caught my saboteur. That's my saboteur speaking right now, and this means you are in control. Okay, so it's awareness, exactly as Eve said. It's awareness. That's exactly what it is. So is awareness enough? Can we just stay here with awareness? Is just being aware enough? Yes or no? Imagine now I'm aware. This was my judge judging me. I'm not a good teacher. Is that enough to solve the situation? Is that enough to solve the situation when you become aware? Some people even say awareness is 50% of success towards any goal, towards any achievement, towards anything. So Dale is saying, no, it isn't enough to be aware. You need to take action using your sage. Yes, Dale. You've been to a few sessions now. You are very well aware of the steps. Yes, exactly. So the awareness itself is not enough, but it's important. It's like 50% of success. The second step I actually added. So initially, I wanted to share 3 steps with you, but I felt it's so important to share the second one. And guess what it is? What is the second step? After you catch the saboteur, you catch the negative voice, you kind of say to yourself, like, I'm in control right now. I caught you, judge. Now I know you're trying to kind of make it worse for me, to make me feel like a really bad teacher. I caught you. Now let me deal with it. Kind of my higher self, the the best version of me. But what is the second step after you catch your saboteur? It begins with the letter C. It begins with the letter C. Who is going to guess it? What do you do when you do something well? You had a good day. I don't know. You did something well. What do you do after that? You have a win, which is a win to catch your negative voice and being aware this is my saboteur, it's not really me. Yes, Dale. If you were here, I would give you something to celebrate together, but we can celebrate right now virtually. Yes, exactly. The second step is to celebrate. So celebrate means say proudly to yourself, I caught it. I caught you, saboteur. I'm in control, not the saboteur. So this is positive reinforcement. When we become aware that when I feel negative and I catch that negative feeling and I celebrate, which means I create more situations where I become aware of saboteurs and I will celebrate. So this is positive reinforcement of you becoming aware when you are being in negative emotion for too long and when you are sabotaging yourself. So this is what it is. Catching your saboteur and celebrate. Now, the third step would be, what would be the third step? After you catch your saboteur, you celebrate this awareness that you caught your saboteur, you became aware that it's my judge saying I'm not a good teacher. But in fact, let me see how I can be a good teacher, what I can improve here. But what is the third step? I think Dale already mentioned the fourth step, and some of you actually mentioned the fourth step, but there is something in between. So now, as you are in the saboteur mode, and then you will need to go to the sage mode, to the sage brain. But for you to switch, the good bridge is to do something that will put you in a sage mode, in a calm, focused, grounded mode, from where you can find more creative solutions. And for those of you maybe who haven't heard of this, the third stage, the third step is energize the sage, and you can do quick positive intelligence repetitions. So, what does it mean? It's a 10-second mental fitness exercise to recharge and return to calm. So, this is basically when you self command. So, like, you can command your mind to focus on one thing. And by you focusing on one thing, especially one physical sensation, then you can command your mind to go the direction you want to go with your mind. So you are in command. Because very often it's actually mind who is in command, and very often we have negative emotions during the day and we are not even aware. So one of the PQ reps could be just breathing out loud, slowly and maybe deeply. So if you do it even now with me, take 2 deep breaths. Another thing you can do, you can just put your hand on your chest and hold it there strongly, but still that it feels comfortable. And by you saying that, it means I am present right now to what it is. I accept what happened, I am present to it, and I want to see how I can use my sage perspective to take any gifts from this situation, how I can learn from this situation. How can this situation be a gift for me? Maybe even that we can do. Or we can even just do this power pose when you ground yourself on the floor, which I'm doing right now, and you stand firm. You stand grounded. You're present. That's the point. When we are present, we cannot be negative. When we are present, we are not in our past, in our future. So we are more likely to access our sage, the positive brain. Okay. Are there any other PQ reps that come to mind that you feel like, this is the one I would enjoy? I know some of you mentioned mindful walking. That's what you do. That's a good one. But remember, it doesn't have to be anything long. It's just 10 seconds where you focus on your physical sensation and you become present. You interrupt the autopilot of your mind. That's the point of it. So then we have the fourth step. And the fourth step will be, anybody can guess, the fourth step will be, now we energize our sage brain. We kind of warmed it up. We are present. And now we just can use our sage powers. So we have the whole library, and I already explained those sage powers to you. It's explore, empathize, navigate, innovate, activate. And you just ask yourself, what's the best thing I can do right now? There may be situations where the best thing can be for you just to be compassionate to yourself. You don't have to take any other action, just to feel this is tough. And I'm staying with myself. Like, I am staying with this feeling. But if you are empathizing, you are not in the negative feeling, you are just feeling that feeling because you are in command. So basically, when you are in command of the situation and you are observing the situation, you are not sabotaging yourself. You are just present with how it feels to be in this situation. Or maybe sometimes it's good just to explore what happened. So there was the full classroom of students, they didn't really pay attention, they didn't speak in English, they spoke in their mother tongue. So to explore, how can I make it maybe more interesting for them? What made them speak in their mother tongue? Maybe it's more comfortable for them. Um, Maybe I didn't explain the instructions clearly enough for them to know what to do. Or maybe I could have shuffled them with different nationalities in the classroom. You explore what happened. So you explore yourself, you explore them, and maybe what could affect the circumstances. Maybe all of them went to bed late last night. That's why maybe they were tired. That's why they were not interacting. So you're exploring. Okay. And in this way, you are in a sage mode. Or maybe one could be innovate, or you could find and brainstorm different ideas how you can make the class interactive next time. Um, or maybe, as Dale suggested earlier, if one activity doesn't work, maybe in the next session you will know when I already feel like they are not really engaged, I can switch to another activity. So maybe I can have a list of activities to try with them and see which one resonates with them. This is where we brainstorm what we can do better. And then activate is actually you act on whatever decision you made and you just take action then. So these are the 4 steps I would love you to use whenever you feel there is a challenge. So remember, if you are experiencing something challenging in your life, you can follow these 4 steps and they can be part of your teacher mental first aid kit. The first step was to catch the saboteur, where you catch this negative feeling and you say that that's my saboteur, not me. And just by noticing this negative voice, you are aware and you are in control. The second step was to celebrate your awareness. Yes, I got my saboteur. I'm in control. It's not my saboteur. The third one was to energize the sage by doing some mental exercises, which can be as short as 10 seconds, where you focus your primary attention on your physical sensation. And this helps you become present, grounded, here and now. And with this state of mind, because you're already in sage mode, you are more likely to look for the gifts and lessons in that situation. And we've got a whole library of these sage powers. We've got 5 of them. We can use any of them at any time. So remember this anytime when you are going to go through a challenge, you've got these 4 steps that you can use. Do you have any questions about these? Any examples you would like to share? Any comments you would like to make? Or maybe something you would like to add? So, any questions about these 4 steps that you have? Which of them you resonate with the most? Or maybe even which of them you would like to use more? You feel like, I don't think I'm doing this enough. Which of them resonates with you the most? So, again, just to summarize, these are the 4 steps how you can train your positive intelligence, which means the way you respond to life challenges, either in a way where your mind helps you or in a way where your mind hurts you, which means you are sabotaging yourself. And there are these 4 steps that you can follow. Number 1, you catch the saboteur. Number 2, celebrate. Number 3, energize the sage. And number 4, use the sage power, which means look for any gift and opportunity in each challenge. Okay, good. If we have any more questions, just let me know. Many teachers ask this question that is it really possible to just shift from saboteur to sage response, even if in tough challenges, like when something very tough happens, like you lose your job or I don't know, any other challenging situation? So the answer is yes, but the speed and depth of the shift depends on mental muscle strength. So I use this example because I go to the gym, and actually today I went to the gym. So far, I'm just lifting 20 kilograms. Okay, so it's not a lot, but I'm just going very slowly. But now imagine I would have to lift 50 kilograms. Would I be able to? Potentially, but I would hurt myself. I don't think I would be really, really able to do it. But 20 kilograms, I'm very comfortable lifting. So that's the same thing. The more we strengthen our mental muscle, the stronger we become. And with more tough challenges, we can deal and we can handle them with ease and joy. So I can imagine I will get to the stage maybe at some point where I will be lifting 30, 40, 50 kilograms. But at the moment, I'm at 20. So that's the same thing. Depending how much you strengthen your mental muscle, that's what kind of challenges you can actually deal with. So the more you strengthen your mental muscle, the more tough challenges you can deal with, you can handle, you can face. And it's very important to mention that lasting positive change requires 20% of insight. That's the knowledge that you have, but it requires 80% of mental muscle. So if you want to be mentally fit and respond to life challenges in a positive way, the insight itself, just knowing the steps, is not enough. We need to train our mental muscle. And that's exactly what I do with teachers. I help them train their mental muscle so they are mentally resilient. They deal well with emotional overload. They have better relationships with their spouses, with their friends, and they take care more of themselves. So, again, insight itself is not enough. It's important to strengthen your mental muscle. Would you agree with this? Anybody? Would you agree with this? That it's important to actually work on your mental muscle and not just learn some new things about our mental fitness as teachers. So, again, just a reminder of these 4 steps. And if you have any questions, I'm here to help them answer them and maybe even share with me what is one tool you're going to be using this week? What is one tool you're going to use this week, following everything we mentioned? Maybe even what is one takeaway that you take away with you and you want to remember it? What is one takeaway that you want to remember or tool you want to use this week? I'll be waiting for you to write it down and I'm going to read it. So, if you're curious about your saboteurs, I just want you to message me the word PQ and I'm going to send you the saboteur test so you can find out which saboteurs are actually affecting your teaching life, your personal life the most, meaning which negative voices are sabotaging you from achieving the goals you want to achieve. Maybe you want to increase your student base. Maybe you want to increase your hourly rate. Maybe you want to become independent as a teacher. Or maybe you want to just handle the emotions in the classroom and students' emotions in a better way. If you want that, and if you want to find out which saboteurs are stopping you from achieving that, just message me the word PQ and I'm going to send you the PQ, the saboteur test. And these are the ways you can reach out to me via LinkedIn, WhatsApp, or email, whatever works best for you. And let me just read the takeaways so at least they'll share it. Innovate when I will teach my in-person class next Tuesday. Good. So Dale is going to use Innovate Sage Power in his in-person class. Good luck with that class, Dale, and you will do great with your brainstorming and with being really innovative about what you can do to engage those people in the best possible way. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And from now on, I'm going to be doing these sessions once a month. And it's going to be always the third Wednesday of the month. And it's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 6 p.m. London time, 7 p.m. Central European time. And please tell me the topics you would like me to cover in the future sessions so that we can cover something that you would like to most know about. Thank you for being here, everyone. And I'm going to see you in the future sessions. Have a beautiful Sage Day. And remember, you've got everything you need in your mental first aid kit. Bye bye, everyone.